and gratitude. Welcome back to my channel, Life Coach with Z. It's your girl Z, aka Zalia. I am a spiritual life coach and healer. And man, this is episode 3, discussing trauma and how trauma can be consuming. And before we get into it, this is actually something that I just literally released maybe a minute ago. I just had like a release session of me crying, just expressing how trauma can really, consume us, how it can really be tainting in a sense. It can feel very like a trap, And it's currently 12:07 in the morning, in the rising, and it is March 9th. I just got done talking to a really, really good friend of mine, and she just triggered it, and not even in a bad way, in a really good way, because this is something that I've been, telling myself. I've been teaching to myself, and I've been teaching to my friend as well. And I just kind of just feel called to record it, and so I can post it, part of this episode. So trauma. Man, I want to tell y'all something. And I want y'all to hear me on this. So when we go through trauma and we go through things that happen to us, and either we haven't dealt with it, or we are beginning to deal with it, or we are continuing on learning how to deal with it, it can be very, very confusing. It can feel like a trap. It can feel very like your mind is clouded, especially if you suppressed so much of your trauma, if you haven't released your trauma, if you weren't even able to purge the emotions and really release those emotions that caused that trauma. It can build up, and it can really fester, and it can really put you in this judgment of yourself. It creates like this mental blockage. You create this mental blockage, and it can really cloud how to really connect, not only with yourself, but as well as people outside of us, relationships outside of us. And that can be extremely hard, that can be extremely harmful, especially when it's with people that we really care about, that we really value, and that we really, we love, and we hold much honor towards, And it really takes you being able to get to a place where you just release, and you just purge, just release, just purge. Get the anger out, get the sadness out, get the grief out, get all of those emotions out. It's extremely important. And once you get to a point where you release enough, you get to a point of realizing, wow, what was the root of that? What was the real cause of what I went through? And then you start to go back all the way to when you were a child. And you start to go all the way back to these certain moments in your life that really impacted you. And you start to think, wow, wait a minute. I wasn't the only one that was impacted by the said thing that impacted me, that impacted you, you know? And you really take a look at it and you sit there and you say, wow, someone had it worse than me, you know? For example, my parents had it way worse than me. And this is not to pity. This is not to judge. This is not to place them on a pedestal. And this is not me excusing it as well. But this is me quite literally seeing the value of what my parents had brought to me, even though it wasn't the best, but it wasn't the worst either. It's me being able to see as much of the darkness, it's me being able to see the darkness as much as I see the light, you know? And it really does change your perception of how you view your relationships, but you really have to release those emotions. You gotta release, you gotta purge, because what that trauma does, it clouds our minds, or it clouds our minds, and it literally makes us create these mental blockages. We create these limiting things amongst ourselves because of the trauma, you know? And it literally makes us cut ourselves off in a sense, from not only from ourselves, but the relationships outside of us. It cuts us off, and it puts us in this place of separation, you know? And that's just one way you can look at trauma. And then you have the other way, when you're done releasing, when you're done purging, and you start to look at, wow, my parents went through so much more than what I can imagine. They went through so much more than what I went through. And I could never imagine being able to get past and deal with what they've been through, you know? So you really start to learn the value of forgiveness, of love, and of having compassion. Compassion, true compassion, coming from the heart space. When you really get out of your own head and you get out your ego and you get out, not even, I don't want to call it a selfish way of thinking, but when you just get out of that mind of just yourself and you start to pay attention to the roots, and you begin to pay attention to how it started and what caused it, you really start getting a whole different perspective and a different answer that you would never have been able to get if you didn't release and purge the stuff that we suppress. And we suppress so much, man. And it's like little things can trigger it, and you don't even know it. It's something that you suppressed, you know. You don't even realize until you get to a point in your journey and you're randomly, you know, either watching something, you're listening to something, you're seeing something that triggers something within you that you thought that you could run from, but you cannot run from yourself. You can't. You can't run from you. You can't run from your experiences. And you cannot suppress them. The subconscious mind never forgets. Your body never forgets. And see, the thing with trauma, not only is it consuming, but it can literally keep us in this state of feeling entrapped, and it can cause us to really separate ourselves from our bodies and from our minds. And this is why we have such this disconnect within ourselves and within our intuition, because we have been so impacted so much from just trauma, to the point where people don't even believe in their gifts, their natural gifts. We all have natural psychic abilities, things that you won't even realize that you're even able to do, and that it's so natural for you to do, because it is all clouded by trauma. And it's like, wow, and it's like, even about the whole thing with having compassion, it really does go a long way. Because it's like, for me, I understand that I have ancestors, we have ancestors that are not, so liking of us, right? Just like people out here on a daily basis, they like to call them haters. We have ancestors that are haters, Even when it comes to stuff like that, I make sure to tell them, I don't care who you are, why you don't like me. I might not have to give you anything, but if I do, it will be love and it will be compassion, because we were not like this. We were never born this way. It was all caused by something, and we deserve to be free. We deserve to feel free, to be free, and to live free. We deserve to have a life where we don't feel trapped, where we don't feel disconnected and separated from ourselves and our abilities and our bodies. We deserve to feel like the light that we are. We deserve so much more. And this is also why I don't care about the money of things and the material aspect of certain things when it comes to healing people. Because I genuinely believe we all should be free. And this doesn't just go for my ancestors, This goes for people that I genuinely care for, like my parents. I can tell you guys right now, I've gone through that phase of really hating my parents, of strongly disliking the shit that they did to me and the shit that they ignore, and the anger behind it, the sadness behind it, the trauma behind it. I've been there. Oh, been there. And then I started to step outside of myself in a sense of, I stopped looking at it from just my way. And I started to look at all perspectives, all angles, all perceptions of realities of how the fuck this happened. How the fuck did this happen? And then I realized, oh shit. We all been trapping ourselves. We all been consumed by this fucking mental. It's all mental at that. And emotional. Emotional intelligence goes a long way. But it's a lot to do with the mind. but the mind is also very much so connected with the emotions. And this is all a part of the feminine and the masculine aspect of ourselves. Both are indeed extremely important. But yeah, like I said, I've had my fair share of being upset with my parents. And I had to go through that phase to realize, wow, I really do care about them. I really do have so much love and so much gratitude for them. Because one thing that I can say is, despite them treating me the way that they did, they went through way much, much worse. And I know for a fact that they did not take on all of the energies of what they've been through and placed it upon me. In a sense, I still had to deal with, some things. It wasn't all good and it wasn't all bad. It wasn't all light and it wasn't all dark. But I still have my fair share of having both, the anger and the sadness, and then as well as the gratitude and, the joy, so I've been through my fair share of having my dark and light moments about them. But I see now that it was necessary for me to have those dark moments about them to see why the light is most needed. We deserve to be free. We deserve to free ourselves. We don't have to feel trapped and disconnected and separated from ourselves, because that is only causing more harm, greater harm than we really realize. But it takes you really going within yourself and you purging those certain parts of yourselves so you can really see why compassion, love, and forgiveness is needed at an all-time high. And once you get there, you will then realize, wow, we all just need love. We all just need forgiveness. We all just need grace, compassion. We all just need to be there for one another. But yeah, that was a quick, I'm not sure how long this was actually. That was a little quick one. It's 12:24 in the rising. If you guys have any questions, let me know in the comments. If anyone feels called to work with me, my link should be down below. And yeah, don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe. And I will see y'all on the next. Peace.